AI's biggest weakness is zero emotional intelligence.
Yep.
They don't know how to read a room. They don't know how to sense hesitation. They don't know how to read fear or politics, right? They don't know how to do those things. And that ultimately is what you were saying, Steve, about earning that trust, because in the context of sales, deals don't close on logic alone. They close on confidence. They close on credibility, connection. That's where deals get closed.
Welcome to Whiskey is for Closers from Altezza. I am Craig Johnson. Joining me, as always, are my partners in crime, our founder, Steve Caton and Drew Epperson. Glasses are poured. Yes. Vibes are immaculate. Let's go. Right? Today, it's just us three, which means nobody can stop us from going on tangents, laughing at inside jokes that we didn't explain very well, and probably revealing too much about how our brains actually work. You've been warned. So here's the deal. There is a topic that we've been dancing around for a while now. Every conversation we have with founders, every founder we talk to, it comes up, they bring it up. Every sales tool claims to leverage it in a new and better way, and LinkedIn won't shut up about it. That is AI, artificial intelligence, the robots, the algorithm, the thing that's either going to make sales easier or make us all obsolete, depending upon which podcast you listen to last. And look, we are not experts.
Nope.
Not even close. We're salespeople. We close deals. We help founders stop being their own entire sales team. That's our thing. But we figured it was time to finally stop dodging and actually talk about it. So today, the three of us are unpacking what AI means for sales, where it actually helps, where it totally falls flat, and why we think the human stuff is about to matter more, not less. And also maybe what we're experimenting with inside of Altezza. So, no thought leader nonsense today, just three guys with whiskey and some opinions. Steve, Drew, you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Do we ever do thought leader nonsense?
That line was brought to you by AI.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
Okay, let's start where we always do. What are we drinking today?
All right, Steve, can I go first?
Yeah, go, man.
Because I was actually talking to Craig right before we jumped on, and this stuff is smooth, man. This is Basil Hayden, 10-year aged, and my goodness, is this stuff good. So I'm actually going to go buy another bottle because usually I like to, swap it up a little bit, but that stuff's so good, I'm going for another one.
So that's not the one that's aged in a red wine cask. It's just the straight Basil Hayden with the 10-year.
Which aged in that wine cask is probably my absolute favorite. This is a very close second.
Yeah, I know. You can't find the red wine cask stuff very easily, though.
So good.
Cool. Well, I'll piggyback on that with Whistle Pig.
Hey!
10-year.
Wee!
Weeks, woo pig, suey. I haven't had a Whistle Pig in a while, but I had a good friend that came over. We had him over for dinner recently, and they brought this bottle. As you can tell, we made quite a dent in it one night. It was a good night, but this is good stuff. It's a rye, a small batch rye, so it's got that more peppery kind of vibe going on, and kind of spicy pepper, honestly, on the front end, but finishes nice and smooth with a little vanilla and caramel. I think I'll make an old fashioned with it when we're done here.
Nice.
Yeah.
I almost made an old fashioned, but I was running late. So it's like just straight bourbon.
Yeah. So what you got, man?
Okay. We're going with Blanton's today. We've got the horse and rider on top of the bottle. So yeah, I mean, it's a good one, right? Like Blanton's is a staple.
Dude, that's a nice one, man.
That's a high dollar staple nowadays,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Hey, so show me that glass you had there, man.
This, Drew, did you get me this one?
Yes.
Yeah. This is the good shit.
So check this out, man. Look at my coaster.
No. This is, that was from Heather. This is from Jen. This is from Jen Meyer. So my sister-in-law.
Nice.
Nice.
Look at me taking credit for Jen's.
Well, you
stuff.
usually get me cool
You were-
stuff like that.
I was going to say, Drew, you didn't have any problem taking credit for that.
Drew did. Dude, what you got me was that those stone cups that stay cold.
Yes. That stuff was good,
Those
isn't it?
were cool. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
I need some kind of a cup that stays warm, keeps my coffee hot because I drink a lot of coffee, but I'm slow about it, and so it gets cold. I got to put it in the microwave. Yeah,
Yeti.
Yeah, Yeti. But I like a mug, just
Yes.
like
I have a Yeti mug.
Do you? I mean,
Yes.
it's like a mug, like it
Yes.
looks like a mug, not one of those thermos things.
I'll show it to you.
Okay.
Craig is selling you right now on Yeti mug. Come on.
And
I have the same
objecting.
problem. I have the same problem. Same problem.
Screw you, Yeti. You're not even sponsoring us.
Pick your Yeti
All right.
and get that out of here.
Get the Yeti out of here.
Don't worry, we already got the explicit rating from me earlier saying the good shit. So, guys, no guests today. This one is all Altezza team. It's just us. Want to talk about something that obviously keeps coming up in a lot of our conversations with founders. I know I kind of said this in the intro, but quick disclaimer, we are not AI experts. We're trying to make sense of this just like everyone else. We're not even like super early adopters, right? Like we're
I think
trying to be
now, when I talk to, I mean, compared to a lot of people, I think we are. Just saying.
Was that
Broke up.
Yeah, Steve broke up.
No, sorry.
All good.
I was saying compared to others, I think we might be, to many others, I think
Got
we
it.
might be early adopters.
Especially people who use AI like Safari or like Google. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Okay, so
exactly.
I say that because this is a disclaimer for if you are an AI power user, like you are a hyper early adopter, you're like writing your own GPTs, this conversation is not for you. You will be very frustrated with the lack of sophistication in this conversation.
Yeah.
However, if you are a business leader who is trying to wade through the complexities of the AI revolution and figure out what the heck do we do with all of this, welcome. Us too.
We're here
right?
for you,
That-
man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So guys, let's kind of lay the groundwork for this idea of AI. Why is this conversation important to have right now? Especially when it feels like everybody's talking about it.
I mean, that in itself, I think, says why it's important because everybody's talking about it. But it's, but there's so much, I think, anyway, there's just everyone's talking about it, but there's mostly just confusion, I think, about it in terms of what it all means, right? So it just, I don't know. It reminds me a lot of the late 90s when the internet came out and everybody was talking, like people were talking about the internet all the time. And what is all that www? What is that? It's sort of like that. It reminds me a lot of that. So I think we got to we need to talk about it because if we don't talk about it, then we're going to get left behind, right?
Yeah, I think it's important because I think a lot of people are making big decisions based on bad assumptions. Like they're making decisions based off of, it's almost like if you think of it, garbage in, garbage out. So you put garbage into this chat bot or you put garbage into the AI, you're going to get garbage out of it. So I think it's important to understand, okay, how do we make the best use of this? And especially particularly when it comes to sales, founders who are making sales decisions based on bad assumptions, right? So that I think is why this is a really big, important discussion to have.
Yeah.
Good.
Steve, the .com boom resonates with me. And I think, Drew and I grew up in a really unique time period because we kind of like came into our careers as social media began, right? So we didn't grow up with social media, but we started our careers and then leveraged social media pretty quickly. But the longer I'm around technology, the less infatuated I am with new technology that comes out. And so I think there is a challenge for me as I'm listening to all of the conversations around AI, that it just feels like the next shiny thing that everybody's talking about that's going to change the world the way that the iPhone changed the world and Facebook changed the world and da-da-da. So part of me just feels like really exhausted from having to have these types of conversations our entire lives. So that's a piece of this too. And so it's good to hear why you guys view this as important, even just for me, who candidly is like, I know I should be talking about it. I'm exhausted from these conversations. I don't know that I want
True.
to, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think
So
that's good that you're calling that out, because I guarantee you're not alone. I think
yeah,
there's a lot of us that are just kind of over this nonstop, kind of life that we live in that's constantly dominated by whatever the latest shiny object is, like you said, whether it's, it's an iPhone, or it's social media, or it's some other social media platform I've never heard of. And, oh, you got to get on that. You got to get on this. And it's like,
yeah.
no, the hell I don't. but I feel, but I feel like I have to figure this AI thing out, because it feels different, than some of those other ones.
Yeah, it's so wild. So let's kind of define this, guys. When we're talking about AI, what are we talking about? Who wants to go first? What are we talking about when we're using the buzzword AI? What is AI?
I
Go ahead,
think,
Drew.
yeah. So for me, are we talking about sales? Because if we're talking about sales, that's one thing, right? If we're talking about just AI in general, I think what we're really talking about is how we move and operate in the world. I really do. I think this is now becoming like, for instance, this thing goes everywhere that I go. This
For those
literally
that are on video,
revolutionized.
Drew is holding up his phone.
Yes.
As I was holding up my iPhone, but literally the iPhone changed everything. It now is the premise for how we do basically everything. And that's what I think this is. So when we talk about AI, I think we're talking about what does it look like for, I mean, even everything from doing business to creating new businesses to, I mean, guys, there's even people who utilize this for like a therapist. I know I've done it a couple of times. Like, "Hey, I got some questions. How do I work through this?" And I set it up as it can literally do so many different things. But like I said earlier, garbage in, garbage out. A lot of that just kind of depends on so many different factors, which is why this is important, why we're having this discussion. Because if it becomes the basis for which we do, from what we do things, then we need to start figuring out how do we put good things in so we get good things out of it.
Yeah, I'm going to venture probably a little bit too close to nerdy on this, but when I think of artificial intelligence, I think the first thing that I think about is machine learning, right? It's computers learning from us and from all the data and all the content that exists out there on the internet. And then I think when we talk about AI, I think when most people are talking AI, they're thinking these large language models, right? Like ChatGPT or Grok or Claude, or on and on and on, right? It's just using those tools. There's that more advanced version of it that you were alluding to earlier, Craig, with writing your own GPTs and all that
Yeah.
stuff. No, we're not talking about that, like you said. So those are the things I think of. I think of primarily it's computers learning, and then large language models interpreting.
Yeah, and thank you for defining LLM. For anybody that doesn't know, that's a large language model. Part of the reason I wanted to say, what are we talking about, is because AI can often be a placeholder for all of these other
Mm.
ideas and topics. And so I think we're going to stay kind of narrow, probably more focused in the LLM arena as we're having this conversation and its impacts. Not that, like, if you've heard the term AGI or machine learning, obviously is a part of that. And it was fascinating, like machine learning, when I was in the manufacturing side of things, that was my first exposure, is how machine learning was directly affecting the manufacturing process and revolutionizing the way that manufacturers produce goods. It was fascinating, right? And now it's come even further. And AGI is artificial general intelligence. That's where AI is actually creating, doing some like thinking on its own. The part that we might go, this is scary, or whatever. We're not talking about that element of AI as we're having this conversation today. It's more around large language models, and that's the most impactful thing, at least that's affecting business today. AGI might be a couple of years from now, we might be having that conversation more.
But you really did get nerdy.
There you go.
Is that the same thing as generative AI?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. AGI is the generative AI
Generative AI.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's artificial general intelligence is what it's called. But
So have you guys played around with the companion mode in Grok?
no.
Dude, that's
No.
pretty cool, man. Like
Tell me
you have to
more.
have the app, the Grok app, which I use instead of ChatGPT for a variety of reasons, but the companion mode actually has an animated character that's talking to you. So like you
Oh,
were
wild.
saying, Drew, you can have a conversation with it and you can just do it in voice, or it literally puts an avatar on your phone that's talking to you. It's pretty wild. Yeah.
That's
I
crazy.
love that. That's pretty cool. Well, and I think the other thing to this whole thing is the pace at which it's growing and developing and becoming more sophisticated is like nothing we've seen in our lifetime, right? We
Yeah.
talk about the advancements of even take the cell phones, the advancements of cell phones, when you take 2007, they were introduced, we're almost 20 years into it. You know, we've had 18 different versions of that. And it's usually every few years you start to see some big advancements in something, but this seems to be happening within 6 months to a year. You're seeing a lot of leaps and bounds, which is really where kind of the mind-blowing type of like, whoa, because I even think a year ago in these apps, what it can do today and the speed at which it can do it as opposed to what it was doing just a year ago. I mean, it is two totally different experiences. So I think that's part of even the, whoa, where's this thing going? Like, can we even fathom? And now they're talking about quantum computing. I mean, you guys want to nerd out. I started reading about where quantum, because that's like the next iteration of like being able to, great example, quantum computing can download everything inside of Netflix in a matter of a split second. Everything's downloaded. Anything that's ever been in Netflix at one time, it can do that in that fast of a time frame. So that's just crazy, the kind of stuff that's going on.
Where are we going to get all the electricity for that stuff?
Right?
Jeez.
Get building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously. So, guys, we kind of laid a little bit of the groundwork here, but how do you view AI?
How do I view it or use it?
Yeah. How do you view it?
You know, Drew's point about change and how, you know, things are changing so quickly, I think my view of it is evolving, right? As I finally kind of broke through the barrier of the, I'm just going to, you know, ignore that for now and got over that and said, I better jump in, or at my own risk of not jumping in to figure it out. I can't do that. So I think what I am starting to view it as is more of a, and this is coming out of that book we're reading, Craig, AI Driven Leader. I love
finished it
that
yesterday, by the
idea
way.
of thought partner, right?
Yeah.
I'm using it like that and I really like it. So I'm loving it more from that perspective than ever any of the stuff I did before, you know?
Yeah. I finished that yesterday, by the way, because I had like 3 hours in the car, or 3.5
Wow.
hours in the car.
How did you like it?
It's good. It was good. Well, so um, I want to put a pin in that, but I want you to unpack AI as a thought partner later, as a
Okay.
practice and use case.
Okay.
Because I think that's a good example of how we as business leaders can benefit from AI overall.
Okay.
Drew, what about you? How do you view AI?
I think that's a great description, thought partner, because I'll even bring it down to how I utilize it outside of business, you know, utilizing it in the sense of I'll have some ideas, or let's even think about, you know, I wanted to create an experience for my wife and I to go on. And so I go into chat and I start to go, here's what we like. Here's where we like to go. Here are the things that matter the most to us. Here's how we like to spend our free time. So I'm kind of giving it this concept and idea. And then I'm like, give me some places to go, some food, restaurants to go to, some activities to do, right? So just kind of help me how how can I start to really create some cool, unique experiences for my family, whether that be my kids, my wife, whatever. And so I've been using it in that context to be able to go, I didn't even think about that before. Or, wow, that's really cool. Like, it's really unique because, because I even gave it things like, what are the love languages between us, and how do those best made up with each other, and how do I tap into those things? So now I'm becoming this sommelier when
I
it
was going to
comes to
say,
that.
man,
What?
what the hell is that? What
I
is
think
this
you just made that
sommelier?
up. This is sommelier.
Did he make that word up? Is that a word?
Like Pepe Le Pew.
You
Are
guys
you- are you
don't know
saying-
You guys don't know Italian? I started learning Italian now with AI.
So AI as a romance tool. Okay, I got you.
Hey, I'm just saying, it is a very cool thought partner when it comes to those kinds of things.
Just like,
Wait, hold on. Let me tell you what word I was.
Isn't that the guy that
Yes, that's the word I was trying to go for. What do they call those?
sommelier.
You guys just
What,
don't
you guys
know.
don't know Italian? I was trying to say sommelier.
You guys are dumb. I'm using Italian over here. You guys don't even know it.
Someone has to look up sommelier. It probably means something really bad.
That's in the bad
God.
parts of Italy. Saumagnons live there.
Yeah.
Those other guys live in the nice parts of Italy.
That's so funny. So, guys, I mean, the big question, right? Is AI coming for our jobs?
Not mine.
Back
For
off,
my
stay in
job.
your lane.
And
I don't think. I think for some jobs.
yeah,
I think for some
sure.
jobs, for sure. And I think, and it's so interesting because I'm hearing not two different stories. I'm hearing a story on two different ends of the spectrum. So I'm hearing white collar jobs that they're going for, but I'm also hearing more like data entry level jobs, some more entry level into the workforce jobs as well. And I think for those, for sure, that we're going to start to see some of that replacing. And I'm sure we've all heard these analogies before. I mean, think about a shoemaker of a horse, right? That was a job for so long. The car came along and that became a role that became obsolete. I think I got shoemaker right. Which
Shoemaker for a horse? That's a really weird way to say
Wasn't that a jockey? Wasn't there a jockey named Shoemaker?
No, see, now you guys are making fun of me, but I nailed that one. I nailed shoemaker. I swear to God, that's a shoemaker. God, now you guys have me like all insecure over here. Where's AI? AI, help me walk through my insecurities. But my whole point in all of that is going, yes, it's coming for some jobs, but I don't think for all the jobs.
Yeah, and I agree with that, and I think it is coming for it's talking about the white collar jobs. I think if you, and this was a big motivator for me, is like if you don't figure out how to let AI empower your ability to do your white collar job, like, yeah, it's coming for you because you're going to be replaced by people who do know how to use it for that purpose. Yeah, I think that's
Totally.
for sure.
Totally agree. And part of the way that I've started to think about it, especially after the AI driven leader, Steve, that the book that you referenced earlier, is almost like Batman and his suit, right? Like Batman is still Batman with or without his suit, right? Bruce Wayne, all that. Like he's still the same guy, but the suit makes him more empowered. It has different tricks that he can use and things that he can leverage that allow him to be more powerful and do more things.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that analogy.
So now whenever I use AI, I look in the mirror and I'm like, you're Batman. You're Batman, Craig.
I am Batman.
I don't have a cool enough voice for that. So you guys are in conversations with founders all the time, right? What are you seeing, hearing in those conversations about AI and their businesses over? Any observations or any takeaways?
I feel like, well, yeah, I mean, if I were to summarize it in terms of like kind of key takeaways, I think there's I put there's categories of people that I see, categories of founders in this conversation. And there's a group of them, and I'd say this is the smaller group, but there's definitely a group of them that are literally trying to figure out how do they take whatever their business is and create a whole new version of the business using AI. So, and those guys are out there, right? They're the early adopters. They're trying to figure it out. And I think it's really cool. I love talking to them. And then the other group on the other end of the extreme are the people who are like, yeah, I'm using it to help me write emails and, LinkedIn posts and things like that. And then I think most people are somewhere in the middle, which is, okay, I've been doing that. Now I'm trying to figure out how to level up and use it as a productivity tool. Still trying to wrap my head around it. But I think I rarely talk to any founders anymore who are just still in that mode of completely ignoring it.
Yeah. Yeah. Drew, how about you?
I don't know if people are ignoring it. I think where some founders are overwhelmed with, I'm trying to grow my business. I don't know how to leverage AI. I don't know what that looks like or how that is. But I think what I'm interested is, Steve, when you're talking to those owners, what do you get this? Do you get a sense of excitement? Do you get a sense of curiosity? What do you think, would you say is the overarching emotion that you get from these founders when it comes to trying to figure that out?
I think all three of the words that you used would describe kind of the spectrum, that people are on. So I would say the ones way early, that are ones that are kind of maybe still thinking about kind of ignoring it a little bit. I think that's driven out of fear a little bit. I think that is driven mostly out of fear, or maybe it's more like what you were saying, Craig, which was the just weary of the next shiny object thing and just kind of jaded maybe. But I think so jaded or fearful might be the description for the people who are not quite ready to dive in. The people in the middle, I feel like they're in the curious category. They're like, I'm curious. I don't really know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm at least curious enough to kind of dive in. And then the people who are that one group of people that I'm saying are literally trying to figure out how to reinvent their business with it, they're super excited.
Do you think the group, because the reason I'm interested in hearing your perspective, because you lived through the .com experience of the mid to late 90s and early 2000s. How similar of what you just described about the AI and those three categories, how similar is that to what it was like back into that early to late 90s and the .com boom? Do you see exact parallels? Do you see what differentiators do you see in between there? Because we can learn from history, right? So
Yep.
What does that look like?
I think I've said this many times. It feels like deja vu to me. Like it feels almost identical to what it felt like in the .com boom. Exactly. It feels exactly the same. There's some nuances, right, that are different, but in terms of what we're talking about, in terms of that whole, fearful, curious, excited, and where people are in those groups and what they're doing with it, I think it's exactly the same. And then the other thing that's very similar is this ridiculous proliferation of the latest AI new product that comes on the market. It's like every week, it's like AI this, AI that. Oh, everybody's doing it, right? And that's what was happening in the .com boom. You just had everybody and their brother was either, getting their website or starting a .com. And I think, going back to the principle of history repeating itself, I personally believe, and I could be completely wrong, this could be totally different, but I feel like there'll be a big contraction of all this as well, just like we saw in the .com boom, right? Where you had an explosion of it, then a huge contraction, and then there were some key players that were left on the other side of that shaped it going forward. I think the same thing is going to happen again.
It's wild, man. That's wild. So as we think about, because we all leverage AI tools in our day-to-day lives and in our business, right? So how do you see, and this question is to both of you, how do you see AI shaping or reshaping Altezza as a company?
Well, I probably feel like I should say something about that first, huh? So
I don't know, founder. What do you?
I better have a thought about that. I really like, I think there was the three categories that the book talked about that I thought it was super helpful for me to kind of wrap my head around and put handles to it. Because I think that, like you guys, like we've been talking about, it's people are so confused about really what does it mean and what do I do with it. And if I remember, Craig, you might have to help me remember the three big ideas of how do you use it is one is a kind of a personal productivity tool, right? So it can help streamline the effort that I have to engage in to do my job, right? So using it as a personal productivity tool would be one category. The second, and that would be true for a team, right? So think of people using it to be more productive. That's the first category. The second category is a company using it to streamline operational aspects of the business. So what are the kind of repetitive tasks that humans are doing that can be completely replicated by AI so that the humans can be freed up to do more strategic stuff? So streamlining operations would be the second category. And then the third category was creating new products or services. And I personally think that for Altezza, I think we'll take advantage of all three of those, and probably in that sequence. Honestly, I think we'll figure out, first of all, how does it help us and our team be more productive at the jobs that we do, more effective at what we do, at selling. And I think there's some real crazy good benefits there. And then I absolutely believe we will figure out as a company how to help. What happened?
Drew was
You took off your
creating an
headphones.
echo.
Sorry. My
Way to go,
kid's
Drew.
iPad took over, and then I started hearing weird things. I'm sorry. Dang
I
it.
have voices in my head. So I think the second thing will be we will figure out how, Craig, and we're talking about this already. How do we help it? How does it help us be more streamlined operationally? How does it help us scale some of those repetitive things that are currently being done by you and the team? And then, I think after we do those two things, the clarity will become obvious about how could it actually be shaped into a new product or version of our service.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Drew, what about from your seat?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different things that are important, a few of them that I think we all know about, but I think that AI becomes this accelerant for the representative. It doesn't replace the rep, but I think it accelerates what it is they're doing. So the way I see it impacting Altezza and what it is that we're kind of creating here is really that efficiency, I guess, conversation of it. The faster ramp time, the stronger stories we're trying to help these businesses tell. I think those are all a part of that we're not this anti, I guess, AI revolution or a company. We're AI enabled, right? I guess this kind of like this supplementing, this coming alongside and helping with adult supervision. Right, is the way I kind of look at it, is going, you got little Johnny here, AI, but then you got adults. We got to have adult supervision in the room to make sure that this thing's being controlled in the best sorts of ways. But, AI without experience is dangerous, but experience without leverage is really slow. And I think Altezza uniquely can bring both of those things.
What do you mean?
Yeah. What does that mean?
Yeah, so I
Altezza.
think the way that I'm kind of seeing this is going, we got automation that we're going to start utilizing, right? And I think that's part of the automating part, putting those pieces together and being able to leverage kind of the experiences of the human alongside of what it is that AI can bring us. There's got to be, that's the adult supervision portion that I was just talking about, is there's got to be some individual that's sitting here going, I see the unique opportunities, I see what AI can bring to the table, but really what brings them together is my experience and my ability to be able to bring both of those and apply those at the same time. And so that's where I think the AI without experience, without that adult supervision, that's the dangerous. That's the garbage in, garbage out. That's the, if we just put something in without there being some sort of, hold on, let's think about this. Is there some sort of thought process to this strategy? That's where I think you start to get wonky and you can get off the rails really quick. But the experience, the sales professional, the 20 plus years of experience of the people that are on the team, without that leverage of AI is a lot slower. I mean, think about how long it took to be able to put sales playbooks together prior to AI. That took months and months and months. Well, now we're able to speed that whole process up and be able to now take both of those things, put them together, and now you've got something really unique and powerful.
So I want to come back to a parallel with the dot-com kind of boom, right, that you asked me about. So what you're talking about there is, I think you're onto something, which is, yeah, the AI is this amazing tool, but the fact that there are people like you and like all of us using it, someone like me who's got, 30 plus years of experience in sales is able to bring something meaningful into the AI conversation that I think is not necessarily being fully appreciated. And so back in the day of the dot-com boom, do you remember how you had all these, I remember this because I was kind of in this weird place where I was in between the young guys that were starting the dot-coms and the old guys in the companies who were really fighting it. And the old guys were saying, well, where's the profit? Where's the profit? What's the revenue model? How are you earning money? And the young guys were saying, it's all about the eyeballs. It's all about the eyeballs. And you just don't get it. You don't get it. And the old guys were like, I guess I don't get it because I really don't understand how it is that you can just burn millions of dollars and have a viable company. And eventually, guess what? That came home to frickin' roost, didn't it? That's what led to the dot bomb. Was all of a sudden everyone realized, well, damn, if we can't make money doing this, then it ain't going to work, So I think the same thing, this is a version of that same thing playing out. It's like, yeah, AI are we really just going to check our brains at the door and all of our years of experience and just buy hook, line, and sinker everything that AI is feeding to us? There's people out there who would probably say, yeah, why not? AI is smarter than you because it has access to all this information that you can't possibly hold in your head. I think that's bullshit.
Dude, that's really good. That's a great parallel. And, I not trying to get the cart before the horse because I know that that portion of like the importance of the human that still is at the center of this. The logic is that sometimes we are outsourcing thought to AI, where I think that's fine to have a thought partner, but the driver, the thought leader, the thought driver is still us. That's still us going, here's what I know to be true. Here's what I know I'm experiencing. Here's what I know that I am having, and I'm reading a situation. AI can't read a situation. So if I can take that reading of a situation, go, come here, thought partner. Now we can start to maybe exponentially start to create something of more value. And maybe we don't see the dot bomb. We start to see going, okay, we've learned from our past mistakes. Maybe how do we accelerate this in a real positive way to make more millionaires than we've ever seen before? Because I think helping people win financially is viable. I really do, especially in today's climate. So I think we now have a tool to help as many people create that in their life.
So what Drew's touching on, Steve, was part of the pin, right, that we put in about AI as a thought partner.
Yeah.
So, kind of wrapping this around, how are you guys starting to experiment with AI within your roles at Altezza, from a business context? And Steve, maybe go a little bit deeper with what Drew was touching on there with the idea of AI as a thought partner as well.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, to totally piggyback off of what you were saying, Drew. So if I'm for instance, this is a real practical example. So we have a strategic plan that's been written for Altezza. And one of the things that we'll be doing here very shortly is reviewing that and then modifying it for the next year. And, we're kind of in the process of doing that already. So I have a lot of thoughts in my brain about what should be in the strategic plan that's based on the 30 plus years of experience that I have in sales. And some of that experience also includes leading a business. And some of that experience also includes being part of the leadership team of a business, working for a business. So I've got all these different perspectives from the business world as well as from the sales world that go into informing the strategic plan. I don't think there's any substitute for that, right? I think, is there really a substitute for my personal experience? No, I don't believe there is. I don't care what's out there in the universe in terms of data. There's not a substitute for my personal experience. That said, I can take those thoughts that I have that are shaped by my personal experience, and then I can run it through AI and just say, hey, here's what I'm doing. I'm building a strategic plan. I want you to basically evaluate what I'm thinking and tell me where I'm on track and where I'm off track based on these specific goals and objectives that I have for my business, right? And I think then you can ask AI to ask you questions and interview. I can ask it to interview me, or I can ask it to give me feedback. And I think that's how it becomes a thought partner with me. So I can take my thoughts and put it in there and go, tell me what you think. And what I have found is that it actually asks or presents some really interesting either counterpoints or amplifications of my own thoughts that I haven't thought of before. And that, I think, is really powerful.
Yeah, I love that, Steve. And not to feels like a book club when I keep saying this. The acronym that they use in the AI driven leader was CRIT. And I remember it because I follow.
Is that Italian?
It's Italian. I remember it because I follow this really dumb Instagram account that's based off of some comedy from the Groundlings, and it's Chit. And so if anybody watches Chit, do it, lady. But CRIT, and what that does is the acronym stands for context, role, interview, task. Right. And so the idea of using AI as a thought partner is you have to give it context. In a large language model, what it's doing is it's taking all of this aggregate data and it's assimilating it in a way and leveraging it in a way that is helpful when you give it the right context.
Yeah.
So if you're using, like Steve, you were saying, your personal experiences and what you've learned through decades of life and business and sales and all of that, and then you layer in an aggregator that takes other people's experiences and other things that are out there on the internet and pulls it all together so we can see how our experience lines up with the trend overall for the industry, for the role, for whatever. Then, so that's context, right? So the better the input, the better the output. So I think for one of the things that I've learned through this is I don't have to know everything about AI for it to be effective, for it to be an effective tool for me to leverage. I have to give it better inputs and learn how to leverage with better questions and prompts to get better outputs than overall. So that idea of CRIT, context, role, is the next one, which basically he was saying, give it a role for the conversation. So AI, your role in this conversation as a thought partner is to whatever, right? You're going to act as a business advisor for me and help me understand where are the holes in my strategic plan or whatever. Then
that's
interview
great.
me. That's the I, one question at a time, to help gain a deeper understanding of the nuances of our business and what we're trying to accomplish. And then it's going to and then you give it the task output that you want from that. And that just, I think the better I've got with my prompts and the inputs, the better the outputs, the more specific the outputs, and the less I have to edit the output for either incorrect information or missing my voice entirely, right? That's been huge.
Yeah, that's really good. I love that. I mean, you walk through that so well, and you're touching on something that is incredibly important, and that is the prompting, right? The prompting is everything. But using that kind of a framework, I think going back to those years of experience that I have, the truth is there's a lot of value in those years of experience, but there's also some things that can make me a bit myopic, right? If I'm not careful. And so AI can help me to not become that way, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think what's interesting about this idea of it being a thought partner is, Steve, you use this term all the time, not abdicating responsibility.
Yeah.
Drew, you said this as you were kind of sharing. You have to still be the thought leader. It's a thought partner, right? So you have to be driving what the output needs to be, and leveraging AI as a thought partner, as a tool to help you get to that output. Um, I was going somewhere with that, and I can't remember where I was going. Damn it. That happened to anybody else? Shoot, it'll come back to me.
Did you know? So, one of the things that, as you're thinking about that, because of what you just said, there's like a bunch of free courses on how to create prompts and getting really good at those prompts. So, I've actually, part of what I'm doing personally is taking those free courses. And again, I think that's another role AI has played, is building these free courses that you can attend, go through, watch, and get better along the way. So, yeah, Craig, did it hit you?
No, it'll come back either after we're done recording or whatever.
It's your
But
45-year-old brain, man.
I
There
know.
it is. Yep.
There it is. Hey, let's get a little practical. If you think about it from a sales perspective, what are the parts of what we do with sales? Because we have a unique context in that we deal specifically in the revenue side of most businesses, right? But we are also running a business. What are the parts of sales that AI can genuinely improve, whether conceptually or, Drew, maybe even Steve, as you've been in the sales cycle, that it actually has improved for you right now?
All right. First thing for me has been the thing that it has helped me improve upon is pattern recognition at scale. So the more conversations, right? Like I'm having lots of conversations throughout my week. How many times have you sat there and gone, crap, when did I talk to them? Oh my God, that was just 3 days ago. It feels like that was like a month ago. So at scale, it's able to analyze all of the different calls that I've done or the emails to be able to aggregate all that together. So to me, that's really where, because I think that was your question, right? Is where has that been the biggest benefit in sales? Yeah. Is that it's identifying those common objections. It's, being able to analyze the win-loss signals that the individual was giving off when you were talking to them. So that to me has been really cool because I love patterns and I love trying to see those patterns, but doing that in scale, it can sometimes be kind of challenging when you're having so many different conversations throughout the entire week.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. I think the other thing that there's a couple things that come to mind for me, Craig, on that. I think so taking AI and running the transcript of a discovery call through it, and then asking it to summarize, have a conversation with it, like you said, give it the context, have a conversation, tell it a little bit about the business that you were talking to and what what's going on and what you're hoping to get from it. AI will actually give a salesperson some incredible intelligence on what's the next conversation that I need to find, or what are the patterns that they're seeing in the conversation that you should dig into next as a salesperson, right? What are the things to really probe into in the next call, which is really helpful because it does it like that, which is, again, how long? I mean, these are things I used to do kind of manually, and it took a lot of time. And when you're a salesperson that's going from call to call to call to call, meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting, you don't have time to be that thoughtful. So AI can really help in that regard to help you continue to move at a fast pace, but keep you really focused on what's going to move the conversation forward with intentionality. And then the second thing would be the research ahead of a of a call, research that you're doing on your prospect before the sales conversation. I literally remember a day and time when we had people who did all that research for us that were paid employees who did research to help us prepare for big enterprise level sales conversations. AI can do that in a matter of minutes. You can plug in a website and give AI the context and tell it what you need. My gosh, the intel it can give you on a company or an individual in the company, it's pretty crazy. And it really can help a salesperson prepare ahead of the discovery call or the sales conversation, which is really critical when it comes to the things that we need to do in terms of building trust, right?
Yeah. So I think this, is the next most logical thing to talk through. We've talked a lot about what AI can do, how we're starting to think through how to leverage it. And I do remember what I was going to say. It was, if you don't know
Sommelier.
what sommelier, exactly. If you don't, if you don't know how to use AI or leverage AI for your business, ask it.
Yeah, that's right.
Give AI the context of your business. Give it like the role that you want it to play. I want you to act as a business advisor in advising me how to best leverage AI for my business. Have it interview you one question at a time to ask deeper questions about what you're trying to accomplish, and have the task be, help me identify 5 key areas that I could start to leverage AI better for my business today. So if you don't know where to start, like ask AI.
That's a pro tip right there. Pro tip.
Right. Ask AI. It'll help you identify where to start.
Yeah.
So it can do a lot, right? What can't AI do?
Man, well, what I said earlier about build trust. I don't think a robot's going to build trust with anybody. Sorry. I'm,
Sorry,
just don't.
not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. I just don't think. I think that when going back to the conversations that we're having with founders, and just not just founders, but people in business, one of the things I see that is happening big time right now is a absolute rush back to authenticity. There is a flight to authenticity, authentic relationships, authentic conversation, because we're all sick and freaking tired of all the BS that's being automated, right? The automated emails, the automated text messages, the automated freaking voice prompts on a call when you're trying to get through to somebody. It's like, can I please talk to a freaking human? So I think that's always been an underlying kind of frustration, but now it's gone to a whole new level with AI. And so I think people are really looking for authentic relationships. And you know what? Especially in a B2B sales context, there's no robot that is going to buy or be able to convince somebody to buy from them in a complex sales conversation where you have to build rapport, you have to demonstrate understanding, you have to demonstrate empathy, and you have to build trust. I don't think that a robot can do that. And I'm not the only one who says that, because I was reading recently where a Gartner study came out and said that over 75% of decision makers in B2B context would not ever buy from a robot. So there you go. That's my thought on it. I'll stick to that freaking gun until I go to the grave.
Well, I'm going to meet you on that hill to die with you, because the hill that
You have to die?
Well, I'm just trying to use a saying here, but I think the biggest thing, again, going in that same vein, is that AI's biggest weakness is zero emotional intelligence.
Yep.
Zero, obviously.
Yeah.
They don't know how to read a room. They don't know how to sense hesitation. They don't know how to read fear or, politics, right? Like, they don't know how to do those things. And that ultimately is what you were saying, Steve, about earning that trust. Because in the context of sales, deals don't close on logic alone. They close on confidence. They close on credibility, connection. That's where deals get closed.
Logic and emotion. Logic and emotion.
Exactly.
Together.
That's why it's not logic alone, right? Like, if it was just logic alone, hell, everybody would be closing a bunch of things because we all know what problem we're solving.
Yeah. I mean, if you're selling a widget, then I could buy something like that. I could buy a widget like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, logically, I know that this is a good thing for me, but why is that important? And so it almost goes back to about Andy Stanley, I don't know, about 15, a little bit longer than that, 15, 20 years ago. He did this like writing down your core values, thinking about your business. But then he took it a step further that really helped me early on in my career. He said, "What are your core values and why is that important to you?" And if you could answer that, and I know you're kind of going again, but that was like transformational for me at that moment. You know, I'm in my mid to late 20s, and I'm thinking, why is that important to me? Isn't that just important because Johnny said he wanted to buy that from me, right? It's like, no. There's something more to it than Johnny wanting to buy. There's something about this you're connected to, and that's where I think AI falls short, is that connection. What makes us come alive? What drives passion? And those things are so important.
Well, and you know, we had I thought like one of the favorite conversations that we've had on this podcast series was the shut up and sell conversation.
Yeah.
And we were talking about intent and the ability for human beings to read subconsciously, be able to discern your intent. So I can tell, Drew, when you're trying to sell me something, and I can tell when you're trying to serve me. And we know that, and it's subconscious cues that our God-given ability allows us to do. Well, guess what? I mean, AI ain't going to do that, right? Is AI going to be able to deliver intent? No, intent of AI is always going to be just to deliver information. So I think again, in complex sales, the buyers are looking, they're reading your intent. Like, what is this guy? Is he for real? Is he really trying to help us? Is he trying to help us solve a problem here? Or is he just trying to frickin' sell us a can of BS, right? And we always have our guard up for that, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think too, in addition to that, it's like AI is really good at amplifying chaos if that foundation is weak. Like, it just takes that and amplifies what is already true about something. And so that's where we come in, and we can start to go, okay, let's bring this deep connection to it. So yeah, just doubling down on what you said. That's just so important.
That's good. Well, guys, let's kind of go into it. One takeaway from our conversation today. What's something that you want to try with AI in the next 30 days?
Well, I think I alluded to it earlier, where as we get into the holidays and we have some downtime, I'm going to be using it to help sharpen the sword around the strategic plan that we're going to be going over when we meet again. Yep, that's on the homework list for me.
Yeah, my homework list is doing those prompts, those courses, just getting better at that. That's definitely on my list.
Yeah, the prompting, I thought that's really good too. What about you, Craig?
Well, I think Crit, like really leveraging that in a better way and testing it out. I've tried it like a couple of times, but I'm not great at it yet. So I really want to master that methodology. And Steve, obviously, because we're going into quarterly planning, I want to figure out maybe some potential areas that you can't shortcut work, right? But can we shortcut maybe some mistakes that we would have made had we not leveraged a thought partner along the way? So I'm really interested to see some of the output from the strategic thought process there. So that's it for me.
Awesome.
It's good. Well, hey, obviously, guys, we end every episode with a toast. Steve, you're up this week.
Okay, man. Toasting to AI, huh? All right. So thinking of it from the sales context here. So may AI bring the leads, but never the soul. Because you can't automate a joke or genuine follow-up or authentic relationships. So drink up to that, folks.
Boom.
Cheers to that.
And whenever you are going into a conversation that could be a little challenging, just look at yourself in the mirror and go, I'm Batman. And right?
I'm a some of y'all.
You know what? I got to tell a funny story about that. So neighbor kid that lived next to us in Colorado where my kids grew up, he had a Batman costume. and he used to put it on, and he would run over into our backyard, and he would, jump off the retaining wall and into the yard, and he would go, "I am Batman." And my kids loved it. They thought it was hilarious. But the kid that lived behind us, he was a kind of a punk. One day, the kid came over and did, "I am Batman." And the kid said to him, "Nah, you're just a kid in a suit." So mean.
Wah, wah.
I know, just totally blew his bubble. Just popped it right there. But it was funny the way he delivered it. It was better than I did. But he was like, "You're just a kid in a suit."
Hilarious.
And when we're talking like 6-year-old kids doing this, right?
Sure.
It's pretty hilarious.
Nope, just a kid in a suit.
Yep. Nope. You're
All
just a guy with AI, Craig.
Just a guy with AI.
Yep. Just a guy with
A guy
AI.
with AI.
Yep.
Well, gentlemen, that is the episode. And I don't know about you guys, but I just felt like I did some group therapy about robots over whiskey, which honestly might be the best format we've ever had for this podcast. So here's where I landed. Steve and Drew can fight me on this later. AI is useful, legitimately useful, but it's not the magic button. It's not going to close every deal. It's not going to build trust. It's not going to read the room with a prospect when they go quiet and you need to know whether to push or to pull back. That stuff, that's human. That's us. And honestly, that's about to become the biggest differentiator out there for businesses. So if you're a founder listening to this, feeling overwhelmed by all of the AI noise, breathe, experiment, stay curious, but don't lose the thing that made you successful in the first place. Your ability to connect with people and solve real problems. And if this episode hit home in all of our shenanigans, share it with another founder or leader who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you haven't, leave us a review. It actually helps us more than you think. Steve, Drew, you guys are the best. Love you guys. Until next time, subscribe, sip, and unleash your inner closer. Cheers.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.